Fury of Andrew Cuomo. Last week, Ron Kemp, Democratic State Assembly member from Queens, was preparing a bath for his three daughters when he got a call from the governor around 8 pm. An hour earlier, the New York Post had published leaked details of a Zoom meeting between the state Democratic lawmakers and Melissa DeRosa, one of Governor Andrew Cuomo's closest aides. During the 2 hour meeting, De Rosa seemed to confirm a suspicion that a number of lawmakers had had for months. Governor had intentionally withheld from them data confirming that the thousands more New York nursing home residents died from COVID-19 than the official number publicly showed. The lawmakers demanded an explanation and De Rosa offered them one. Last year, Cuomo administration had been worried that the Donald Trump and his Justice Department would use the number against us. Basically, we froze. De Rosa told the Democrats. Kim, who has been a persistent critic of Cuomo's handling of nursing homes during the pandemic, was in the meeting with the De Rosa. A month earlier, when he had become the chair of the Assembly's Committee on Aging, and once the recording of the call leaked, the Post had reached out for comment. Kim told the reporter that to him, De Rosa's comments were as bad as they looked. They were trying to dodge having any incriminating evidence, he said. He quoted that the governor's office had tried to get Kim to retract. But the court had stayed in and the story was up, and now the governor was on the phone fuming. I'll destroy you. Cuomo screamed according to notes Kim wrote down after the call, which he shared with me. The governor was so loud that the Kim wife and daughters grew upset and Kim stepped out of the bathroom. You haven't seen my wrath, Cuomo told him. I will go out tomorrow and start telling the world how bad of an assembly member you are and you will be finished. For Kim, nursing home issue was personal as well as political. In April, his uncle's son Kim died of a suspected case of COVID-19 in a nursing home in Queens. He was 78 and he had shaped his nephew's life. Son Kim had become a dentist at a time when it was almost impossible for a Korean immigrant to set up a dental practice in the NY city. He enlisted in the army in which he could practice his profession and eventually sponsored Ron and his family's visas to the US. In 1987, when Ron was 7, his uncle, staunch Republican, chose a new American name for him in honor of President Ronald Reagan. Despite the personal loss, Kim told Cuomo that he had tried to keep his disagreements about the governor's pandemic policy on the level of the policy. I bit my tongue, Kim said. I bit my tongue. Cuomo shot back. Neither Kim nor his wife slept that night. I am trying to calm her down, Kim told me. Cuomo kept up the pressure through the weekend. That Saturday, Cuomo's aides and other intermediaries called Kim, trying to get him to talk to the governor. It's Lunar New Year, I am with my family, Kim told me. I felt extremely uncomfortable. Kim believes that the Cuomo was trying to silence him, and I realized if I changed course, I am complicit, Kim said. And then politically, he owns me. Kim hired a lawyer to whom he directed any further communications about the issue from the governor's office. Ultimately, what he was trying to do was asking me to lie about what I heard, Kim said of Cuomo. It's like I witnessed a crime and they are asking me to say I didn't witness a crime. As recently as a week ago, it was easy to find people in New York politics who thought the outrage over the Post scoop would blow over. Sure, there were Republicans, members of the minority party in both the Assembly and the Senate, who were calling for Cuomo to be removed from office. But that was nothing new. 9 Democrats in the Assembly, including Kim, signed a letter accusing Cuomo of obstructing justice and calling for actions against him, including impeachment proceedings. Yet that seemed a distant possibility. Perhaps the legislature would work up the momentum to strip Cuomo of the emergency powers he had been granted last March, when the pandemic hit, which had codified the governor's authority to do everything from ordering shutdown to setting masks and tweaking election laws. But those powers were set to expire in a few weeks anyway. It was a strange scandal in that neither the crime nor the cover up were exactly news. State lawmakers had been demanding that the Cuomo release the real nursing home death toll since the spring. They held hearing about the matter over the summer. A report issued in the late January by State Attorney General Letitia James had confirmed that the public records maintained by the New York's Department of Health omitted some 5,000 nursing home residents who had died after being transferred to a hospital, meaning that the state nursing home death toll was as much as 50% higher than it looked like. This didn't affect the state's overall stats, just which category deaths were counted in. De Rosa had confessed that a choice had been made to delay disclosing the nursing home members. But what really seemed to set everyone off was the manner in which she made confession. Like Kim, other lawmakers in the meeting worried that the governor had made them look complicit in his action. During the Zoom call, Rachel May, a senator from Syracuse, said to De Rosa, "The issue for me, the biggest issue of all, is feeling like I needed to defend, or at least not attack, an administration that was appearing to be covering something up." The governor's office disputed the characterization that it initially withheld the total number of deaths at New York State nursing home. Kim and other lawmakers I talked to said that they believe the pushback caught De Rosa off guard. Even before the pandemic, Cuomo and his aides ruled New York with a carefully managed reputation for fearsomeness. After the pandemic hit, the governor's power only grew formally and informally thanks to his emerging powers, his willingness to make quick decisions on critical questions, and the incredibly popular pandemic news conferences he began to hold almost daily, for he eventually won an Emmy. For the better part of the year, Cuomo reveled in a role of American steady stepfather in contrast to Trump's deadbeat dad act. In October, he published a book titled American Crisis Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic. That month, in a profile in the New Yorker about his handling of the pandemic, Cuomo said, "If you don't believe that the truth wins, you can't do the job. You have to believe that the right thing gets appreciated in the long run. Only the long run matters." Yet, all along, the nursing home issue had lingered. In the late March, as a first wave of coronavirus surged, the Cuomo administration had directed nursing homes in the state to admit COVID 19 patients released from the hospitals, while pursuing a measure to grant the facilities immunity from lawsuits. The logic at the time was to do everything to avoid overloading hospital capacity, and the Cuomo administration had since said that it was following recommendations of the CDC. Since then, nursing home residents and the staff have accounted for more than a third of coronavirus deaths in the US. Because of social distancing and public health measures, the family of the people who died in the families of the people who died in these facilities were often unable to be with them in their final moments or to give them proper funerals. Kim's uncle, who had dementia, was among those who died alone. He probably didn't know what was going to. Kim told me. In New York, many of these relatives began denouncing Cuomo's decision and speaking out about the lack of resources and preparation of the facilities. Even before son Kim died, Kim and his staff had begun hearing from nursing home residents' relatives. Kim came to view the legal immunity granted to nursing homes at Cuomo's urging as evidence of the industry undue influence in Albany, who got to Gov Cuomo. He tweeted recently. During the Zoom meeting, De Rosa pointed to pressure from the Trump administration to explain why Cuomo had delayed the releasing the real members. Last year, the former president seized on the high number of nursing home deaths in New York as a way to hit back at Cuomo, who had repeatedly criticized the president's pandemic decisions. But to lawmakers, De Rosa seemed to be blurring fear of a crooked Justice Department probe with a fear of bad political optics. Either way, by the time of the Zoom meeting, Trump was gone and the lawmakers were in no mood to bore the governor. Kim described the first hour of a meeting as a therapy session, during which the participant let De Rosa have it. I think what happened is that at some point Secretary De Rosa accidentally told the truth. Kim told him. Still, the scandal didn't begin to really widen until Monday, when Cuomo, in his first press conference since the Post article came out, expressed something like remorse for withholding the numbers and for creating an information void. At the same time, he insisted that state lawmakers had been informed of the reason of the delay. That they can't say they didn't, Cuomo said. Once again, and it looked like Cuomo was trying to tie the legislator to his own actions, and again the legislator protested, this time publicly. The governor is not entitled to his own facts and or alternate timelines of events. A spokesman for the state Senate Democrats tweeted. Things only devolved from there. On Tuesday, Cuomo said, which was on Twitter, touting a new public opinion poll. New Yorkers saw with their own two eyes how Cuomo worked day and night to get us on the other side of the pandemic. This poll shows government's favorability is rock solid. That same day, Kim began talking to reporters about his interaction with the governor. On Wednesday morning, Cuomo held a press call during which he appeared to try to make good news on his threats to Kim. I have had, well, my office more than me. Had a long and hostile relationship with Assemblyman Kim. Cuomo told reporters. He also accused the Assemblyman of corruption and pay to play for his conduct around a nail salon reform bill 60 years ago. I believe it was unethical, if not illegal. Short Shortly after, CNN as well as Times published articles about Kim and Cuomo. In the ensuing scrum, Azzopardi issued a settlement calling Kim a liar and denying the language that the assemblyman and said Cuomo used on their call. We will not allow an unscrupulous politician to deceive New Yorkers or distort the truth, Azzopardi said. The governor's office released the full transcript of De Rosa's Zoom meeting as well. But then other lawmakers began to come forward with their own stories of being bullied by Cuomo. Three legislators told CNN that the governor and his staff had been threatening those who were considering voting in favor of stripping Cuomo of his emergency powers. On Twitter, former office holder, consultant, and other involved in the New York politics began describing run-ins with the Cuomo and staff common experience. Every single person in NY politics knows someone who has gotten the same kind of a call from Cuomo. Monica Klein, the co-founder of the political consulting firm Seneca, said, "You line you, an assembly member from the lower Manhattan, tweeted, I kid you not. My text messages, my DMs, my inbox are flooded with Cuomo stories. So many people have been bullied, mistreated, or intimidated by him." Instances of this guy doing this. The state governor Alexandra Biaggi told me it has happened so many times to so many different people. Biaggi described a meeting she had with Cuomo the week that she won election to her seat in 2018. Right before I left, he sat back in his chair and said to me, "So tell me again how your grandfather's career ended." Biaggi's grandfather served nearly 2 decades in Congress before resigning amid a corruption scandal in 1988. "I very much perceived it as a threat," Biaggi said. "I think people don't speak out, people are afraid, and it goes unchecked." In 2019, after Biaggi Nui and the state Jessica Ramos criticized Cuomo for inviting lobbyists and business executive to a high-priced fundraiser with his budget director, Azzo Paddy told reporter that the three lawmakers were fucking idiots. At some point, New York's era of pandemic politics will end. Everyone from upstate Trump loyalists to Brooklyn Democrat socialist is chafing at the current arrangement in Albany. The nursing home scandal, or perhaps the mismanagement of its fallout, has provided the first real test of Cuomo's grip on power in the state since last March. On Twitter, the Times reporter Nick said that on Wednesday reminded him of the beginning of the end of the former governor Elliot reign. Hard to imagine now, but the first dent in the Elliott political armor, the very beginning of that, was him berating the Republican Assembly minority leader and the Republican leaking it to the Post. On Wednesday, I called Dick, the Manhattan Assembly member who had been among the most outspoken Democrats in the D. Rosa meeting. He has held office since 1971, the longest tenure in the Assembly's history. He has seen 8 governors come and go. They all seem to use the same manual, Gottfried said. He told me that the current scandal was not only about a nursing home member, it was also about power. Back in March, Gottfried voted against granting Cuomo emergency powers. I kept asking, why, what does this let him do that he can do already? He said, and nobody has ever answered that question for me. And when someone says, I need this language, and they won't tell you why, to me that rings alarm bells. The pandemic had worsened many of the state's long standing problems, Gottfried said. But it had also revealed the problems that haven't gotten much attention in the past. New York governors have a long list of powers, more than a lot of other governors have, he said. For decades, governor after governor has used those powers to leverage a little more power. COVID has made that even more visible, and as a result, there is a growing call to push back on some of the governor's power, and not just this governor, but New York governors in general. By the end of the Wednesday, there was evidence that Cuomo was dealing with more than a political scandal. Despite his administration's argument that withholding the nursing home members had been necessary to ward off Trump's coup, the State Department news broke that the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, whose jurisdiction includes Ron Kim's district in Queens, had opened an investigation into the administration handling of nursing homes. Kim told me, the governor is now trying to make it about me and him, and it's not. Kim spoke about the family of nursing home residents who died of COVID 19. They were looking for representation and a voice, wherever they could find it. And unfortunately, there are not that many folks who were willing to criticize the governor in the Democratic Party, Kim said. Even now, when one of their own Democratic members has come out and said that he has been threatened, you can see the most establishment Democrats are silent. They just want this to go away. So that concludes our article. Talk about the conclusion and all the facts that we have studied in this article so far. So this is about basically two persons. One is Andrew Cuomo, the governor, and the another person is from his party, which is Assembly member Ron Kim. So he was giving a bath to his daughters, and he received a call from the governor. So basically, there was a context given that what happened before the call. There was a Zoom call leak that Cuomo's government had been hiding the how many people were actually died in the nursing home residents. So that was a context, and Kim got a call from the governor saying that he is going to destroy him. Why? He said to him that because Kim has been a persistent critic of Cuomo earlier as well, and also after there was a call leaked and Post had reached out to Kim, and Kim had given his reaction that this was not that good. So yeah, after that, Cuomo was telling him to retract his whatever he has said to the New York Post, but he was not ready to do. Though there was a argument happened between the Kim and the Cuomo. So, but Kim was not ready at all. He was like, if I witnessed a crime and I should report it, I cannot say I didn't witness a crime. Then there was a whole functioning of how the news was spread in the public, and also how the other assembly members agreed to Kim. And there was one of the state assembly member, I forgot his name. He was against Kim, and three Senate members were with the Kim, and they were simply telling that the whatever Kim is doing is right, because Kumo had been that bad in the past as well. So there is one person called D Rosa who was explaining the situation in the Zoom call meeting. She had told that why there was a delay in releasing the actual number. It was due to the fear of the Trump administration. And yeah, and after that, what I could recall, there was a Twitter fight going on. So yeah, there have been many instances of this guy doing in Alexandria. Biagi told me. So there was an incident happened with Biagi as well. She was threatened by the Cuomo as well. So yeah, so there was also Manhattan Assembly members who were in the meeting as well. He was also against the New York governor. So basically, with this article, the author asks questions that the New York governor has been given many powers than the required, and that is, I think, main theme of this article. The main theme is explaining Andrew Cuomo was given many power in emergency during the coronavirus, and he is misusing his power, and nobody is ready to say anything from his party members, even when one of the party member has spoken against him and the other is just trying to silence him, and nobody is agreeing to give support to the Kim. So that, I think, that is a main theme of the author. Yeah, I think that was all in the articles, and we'll try to answer these questions once we move ahead.